Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Here's John and Heidi.
Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Thursday. Hey, baby, how you doing?
I'm fantastic. And yourself?
Oh, I'm fantastic as well. Coming up later in the program, we're going to be visiting with John Horvat. I'm excited to chat with him. We spoke one other time, but what we're talking about this time is what is the missing word from all of the election debates. You know, if you've been watching the debates on either side, he says there's a word that's missing. So I'm excited to find out what word is missing. Also, we've got a company in Europe being criticized for selling tickets to a lottery to win plastic surgery.
Oh, wow.
So they're saying, hey, you could win the lottery. We'll make you look beautiful. Buy a ticket. Would you buy a ticket for that, Heidi?
Probably not, no.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. Because you know what? You're already beautiful. You don't need no plastic surgery.
Well,
No, you look good.
Actually, I might. I might say, yeah, I'll buy one.
you look
Depends
good.
on how much the tickets are.
Wow. A recent study shows that easy listening music is not relaxing to most people. In fact, most find it annoying. Elevator music tends to cause most listeners to become irritable and short-tempered, and that's what they choose to play when you're stuck in an elevator. Maybe they shouldn't do that anymore, now that we know. Coming up, some special things happening today. We'll tell you what those are in a bit.
John and Heidi.
Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
I thought you'd never ask. It's Thursday, April the 7th. Today is Day of the Remembrance of the Victims of the Rwanda Genocide.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's going on today. It's also International Beaver Day today. So if you know a beaver, be sure to get out and celebrate together. Maybe you could build a dam together. It's International Snail Papers Day. It is Metric System Day. It is National Alcohol Screening Day, which is interesting because it's also National Beer Day. It is World Health Organization Day. And finally, No Housework Day. So today's a day to not do any housework. Also, you know, pretty much any other Thursday at my household. We kind of save all of that up and then do it right before company comes over. All right, that's what's happening today. Get out there and celebrate and have some fun. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Thursday.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by Knowles Systems. If you have funds earning less than 6%, listen to this. Commercial mortgage bridge loans pay 6% to 8%. That might be just what you need. You're placed in first position on loans secured by high-quality commercial real estate like hotels, apartments, and office buildings. Your principal never fluctuates in value. You receive 6% per year paid monthly, and your principal is returned in full at the end of each cycle. You never pay commissions, management fees, or asset charges, and you can make these loans inside or outside of an IRA. I'll give you a toll-free number to call, 888-547-8007. Start earning 6% now. Call 888-547-8007.
John and Heidi.
You know it's true because you heard it on the radio. Do you ever have, have you ever had a weird hobby? Something that was just a hobby, things that you like to do that are just not normal?
I collected Pez dispensers.
That's kind of a weird hobby, yeah, because that is a little different. Well, there's a guy that is about to destroy his marriage because of his weird hobby. And the signs, Heidi, are obvious. A British wife says her husband's obsession with road signs has taken over their lives. Graham Stanton of Worcester spent 25 years collecting 700 road signs. She says they fill every room in our home.
Yeah, I wouldn't stand for that.
His wife Lynn has told him, you need to rent a warehouse to keep your signs in or give up the hobby. The 53-year-old's obsession began after he found a Men at Work sign in some bushes. And he picked it up and said, I'm going to start collecting road signs. So many that my wife will want to kill me. 700 of these things.
Yeah, I'd have a problem with that. I'd have a real problem with that.
This reminds me of a story that I thought was a really interesting story that I showed you the video like a week ago. I was watching, somebody shared it on Facebook, and there was a man who had been a lifelong bachelor, had never married, and he passed away. When he passed away, he was very involved in his church, so when he passed away, he had gifted his home to the church. When they got there, they found one of the largest collections of like Matchbox cars in the world. There were thousands. I think there were 30,000 cars and models, and and even some real cars. And I thought that was really, really neat. And all the people that knew him, they didn't even know that that was a passion of his.
But he was a bachelor, and he had nobody telling him,
So
you can't keep all of that in the house.
700 road signs, and his wife is saying, you need to get a storage unit. So,
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I could see having some, like if you had like a man cave or something, have some on the walls, because that'd be kind of cool, but there's no way I'd
I remember
have 700 of them in the
back
house.
in my single days, which, I wasn't single for a long time because, when you're a hot stud like me,
You get
you
nabbed
snatched up
pretty
right away.
quick.
But I have I don't know how you married me or why. But during that brief time that I was, on the market, I had a collection of dirty socks at my place. That's a collection. Just leave that alone. All right. It's true because you heard it on the radio.
John and Heidi.
The John and Heidi Show is brought to you in part by the Keystone Treatment Center.
This is your brain, and this is your brain on drugs. We share silly stories here on the program, but addiction is no joke. If you or someone you know suffers with an addiction to drugs or alcohol, make today the day you seek help.
Call toll-free 844-204-1055.
That's a toll-free number. Again,
844-204-1055.
and this is your brain on drugs. Have you ever heard the fact that curiosity kills the cat?
Yes.
It also apparently corners confused criminals. Another tip for those contemplating a career in the potentially profitable field of drug trafficking. It's not a good idea, I'll just say that. But the career field that Gary Bruner of Carmel, New York opted while he was trying to do some business, made one slight miscalculation. He walked into the Putnam County Sheriff's Office to inquire whether there were any arrest warrants for him. The police were really happy that he stopped in because there were. He's sitting in jail right now. He walked into he's like, hey, I'm Gary Bruner of Carmel, New York. I'm a drug trafficker. You guys got any warrants for me? Why would you do that?
I don't know.
I
Unless
could
he wanted to be caught.
Well, I could see maybe calling in if you were wondering, but I just don't understand why you'd walk in and do that. If the answer is yes, you're not going home. And the answer was yes, and he didn't go home. All right, we've got your moment of duh coming your way.
John and Heidi.
I have never been to China, but there are free hugs on the streets of China. Who wants one? Apparently nobody. It says people in China have not warmed up to the free hug campaign aimed at cheering up strangers by hugging them on the street. In fact, the tactics seem so strange that some huggers have been hauled away by the police for questioning. This campaign hit the streets of a number of Chinese cities where participants opened their arms to embrace passersby, and brandishing cards that said free hugs, care from a stranger. In one incident, police moved in and took away 4 huggers briefly for questioning, seemingly baffled by their wacky Western-style activities in a busy downtown shopping street. Wait a minute. Why is that Western-style activities? We don't have that stuff happening here all the time.
We're very huggy.
Are
here.
we really?
Yes.
Not all of us. Maybe you are, but that
I'm
doesn't mean
very
I am.
huggy, and most Midwesterners are very huggy.
I'm not a huggy person, so...
I'm a very huggy person. I would have hugged that person on the street. If
You
they
would
were
have?
standing there with their arms
So
open.
if some
they needed a
stranger
hug.
comes up to you and just puts her arms out, you're going to... The
I
first thing
will
you
hug
think of
them.
is I'm giving that person a hug?
Absolutely.
That's not the first thing I would think of.
I honestly, the majority of people that give me hugs, I don't recognize them anyway. And then they walk away, and I say to you, "Who was that?" And then you have to tell me who it was.
What do you do when I'm not with you? She's out hugging people. All right, coming up here, we've got your scoop of the day. That is on the way.
The Scoop of the Day is brought to you by Wells Blue Bunny. If you want delicious ice cream, be sure to look for the Blue Bunny. Sure to have your favorite flavors. Learn more at bluebunny.com.
Now, your scoop of the day. Heidi, I don't know if I should admit this.
What's that?
I have never eaten at Chipotle, but Chipotle Mexican Grill has applied for a trademark for a thing called Better Burger as part of a business diversification move to open a burger restaurant chain. One of these days, I'm going to have to go in and try Chipotle. I've heard good things. I've never had a chance to try it yet.
Is it like the place that makes the big burrito
Yeah, the
things that you
burritos,
like? Oh, I don't like
So
those.
it's a Mexican grill, Chipotle Mexican Grill. Now they're going to have a new restaurant called Better Burger, and it's, like I said, a way for them to diversify for people who, see, I'm finicky. I don't like tomatoes. I don't like onions. I don't like peppers. That kind of counts out almost everything they do.
Pretty much, yeah.
Hey, while a real trip to the red planet might be decades away for NASA, astronauts, people on Earth can take a trip to the rusty surface of Mars right now. Microsoft has a thing called HoloLens technology. According to Mashable, NASA will open a new exhibit this summer called Destination Mars at the Space Center, the Kennedy Space Center, in Florida. It'll feature a tour of different sites on Mars where you can strap on some Google goggles or whatever they are, and you can pretend like you're walking on the red planet.
Yeah, no thanks.
All right. Speaking of things that are out of this world, William Shatner. I think first known for Star Trek, right?
Sure.
Well, now he's known for being maybe somebody's daddy. He's being sued for $170 million by a 59-year-old Florida radio host who claims that the Star Trek actor is his father. Peter Sloan, at birth, now goes by Peter Shatner, and he says that Mr. William Shatner had an affair with his mother back in 1956. And he says, he's my daddy. So,
okay, so then why didn't he reach out to him a long time ago? This is
Maybe
ridiculous.
he did.
You're going to wait until you're 56 years old and
He's
then sue
59.
somebody?
Come on, get it right, Heidi.
That's insane.
I have no idea. According to a Gallup poll, 46% of Americans believed in creationism as found in the Bible. So 46% believe that. 32% believe in theistic evolution, which is God directing creation over millions of years using evolution. And 15% believe in evolution without any divine intervention. The statistics seem to mirror opinions from 3 decades ago, meaning we're not really changing our minds one way or the other on this matter. So 30 years ago we thought it, and that's what people still think. I'm in the first category, by the way. Coming up here, we got another story. Hernandez Graza left the engine of his Honda running when he went into a shopping center in Aurora, Colorado. He said he was only gone for 3 minutes when his 1988 Accord was stolen. After he explained to police that he had left the engine running and the doors unlocked, the cop gave him a $15 fine. The law has been on the books for years. It's aimed at preventing car thefts and conserving the resources of the police department because they devote so much time to solving crimes like this that could have been avoided. Hector said he understood, and fortunately his car was later recovered. Like a day later, somebody said, this 88 Accord is apparently not all it was cracked up to be. I can't even imagine somebody would steal that.
But you know what? I've told you that how many times. You
I know.
always leave your keys in the car.
I don't always. I
Oh my
never do
gosh.
now because our car doesn't even have a key. It's got a button, and I got to carry a key
And
fob.
it yells at you if you walk away
I
with
know.
it, which is awesome.
I don't like that. Canadian prisoner David Wilde is suing the government of Canada for $1.95 million, claiming he has the inability to sleep because it's causing him emotional distress, depression, and it's all because the guards come by at night to ensure that he's still in his cell. So $1.95 million because the guards are saying, hey, you still in there? And he's like,
I don't think they wake him. They look in there. They don't wake everybody up when they walk away. They look in, they shine a flashlight, and make sure that you're still in your cell.
They wake David Wilde, and he's suing him for it.
Well, he's not going to win.
A Portuguese motorist who was stopped for shaving while driving told police he needed to, quote, smarten up for an important meeting. The young man was driving, and he was looking in a mirror turned towards him as he was cruising along the road. He
Yeah,
didn't get in an
bad
accident,
idea.
but he did get pulled
But
over.
still, it's distracted
Yeah,
driving.
that certainly is. And
Yeah.
our final thing is our strange law. Myrtle Creek, Oregon has a law stating that you cannot get into a boxing match with a kangaroo. How many of those do you think they had to break up before they put the law in the books?
I've actually seen kangaroos do that.
I just think that's funny.
It's
illegal.
So it's illegal to defend yourself if a kangaroo comes after you. I think
Apparently-
if a kangaroo punches me or kicks me, guess
he's
what?
going
I'm
to
punching
jail.
or kicking back.
He's going to jail.
No, not the kangaroo.
That-
You would.
No, the kangaroo would too because it's against the law. That's in Myrtle Creek, Oregon. That is a strange law.
Got
And
a lot
this,
of kangaroos in Oregon do that.
apparently, this has been your scoop of the day.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by Knowles Systems. If you have funds earning less than 6%, listen to this. Commercial mortgage bridge loans pay 6% to 8%. That might be just what you need. You're placed in first position on loans secured by high-quality commercial real estate like hotels, apartments, and office buildings. Your principal never fluctuates in value. You receive 6% per year paid monthly, and your principal is returned in full at the end of each cycle. You never pay commissions, management fees, or asset charges, and you can make these loans inside or outside of an IRA. Start earning 6%. Go to commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com right now. What are you waiting for? Go to commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com. Again, that's commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com.
John and Heidi.
Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show. We've got a special guest joining us today, John Horvat. He's a scholar, a researcher, an educator, international speaker, and the author of Return to Order. And we're going to be talking right now about something that, for those of you who have been involved in the politics this year, you might have been watching the debates. He says there's a word that's been missing from these debates. John, how are you today, sir?
Great to be on the show.
Well, now, what is the missing word in all of these election debates that we've been watching?
Well, I mean, you've been hearing frustration, establishment, equality, jobs, all these kind of things. But what I think is missing is the word sacrifice.
Oh, yeah.
Not too many people want to talk about that, but I think it's an essential word if we're going to resolve the problems that our nation faces.
So you're telling me I can't have all of that stuff and not give something up, John?
Right. I mean, free college, free lunch, it really doesn't exist in the real world.
No, we do have to give something up to get something back. So you're right. The word sacrifice is something we're really not hearing right now, are we?
Right. It's what I call a cookie jar election. You know, everybody wants their hand in the cookie jar, but cookies are only limited. And you know, at a certain point we have to say, well, we have to give something up.
So as you've been watching the debates, and I've been watching the debates, are there things that you're seeing in this present election cycle where they're addressing the right issues and the wrong issues?
Definitely. I mean, this is a very extraordinary presidential election cycle. It's we haven't seen anything like it. But I think it is very much related. It's related to our culture. You know, the frenetic temperance of wanting everything now, instantly, regardless of the consequences. And you know, this election is just all very strong, intense sound bites, you know, slinging things here and there. It doesn't really get into the meat and potatoes of things.
And it's amazing to me how mainstream media has picked some very specific things that they want to focus on, and they have focused on those things like a laser. And there are other things that get brought up at these debates that just kind of get swept under the rug, and they don't even talk about them.
Definitely. I mean, it is very much dominated by economics, benefits, and it doesn't really get into, well, where's our nation heading? What's being done to teach our children right and wrong? What's being done to instill character in our population? I mean, these are, you know, moral issues that really are, and cultural issues that really aren't considered.
So as you're watching this and you're seeing what's happening, what would you say is wrong with the whole what's in it for me approach to voting? Because there are a lot of people right now that are promising, hey, free this, free that, just vote for me and you got it all. What's wrong with that approach?
Well, I think it's a problem because our nation is heading for some very hard times. And, you know, when you get into hard times, you have to lower your expectations of what you're going to get from the government and assume a more personal responsibility for family and community and just, you know, take upon oneself that responsibility. And, you know, we're not really being prepared for that right at this point.
So, John, how do you feel that we've gotten to this point in our society where if you think about the different people that are currently up for election, you know, we've got one that's saying, hey, I want to give you all this stuff for free. And then on the far other end of the spectrum, there's a guy saying, hey, I want to build a 30-foot or however tall wall. You know, how do you feel that we've kind of slipped to the point where we've gotten these complete polar opposites like this?
I think it's much more a cultural thing than a governmental thing. The government obviously has a role in it, and it does fuel this whole thing. But it is this intemperance, this just giving in to everything. And the elections have been reduced to, you know, elect me and I will make you happy. Right? That's sort of the message I'm getting from a lot of the candidates.
And now we talked earlier about the word that's missing, sacrifice. So how would the concept of, hey, vote for me, you're going to get this, but you're going to have to give this up, how would that turn the tables on the election process?
Well, I think when people start getting the big picture, they learn that there's something more than themselves. And, you know, Americans, this isn't something new for Americans. We've always been challenged by sacrifices in the past, and that's often when we show our best side when we sacrifice. But it's a sacrifice that's not just saying, well, you know, you're going to have to give up your car, or give up this, or give up that. It's much more than that. It's just this. It is the idea of a sacrifice to for the common good, to help society. That is. I think it's something that will do us a lot of good.
So, again, visiting right now with John Horvat, scholar, researcher, educator, international speaker, and the author of Return to Order, which we're going to talk about here in just a second. But first, what are some of the other words and concepts that you think are maybe needed right now to get people moving forward during this election cycle?
I would put in that category honor and duty and commitment, family, even God. I mean, all these are consonants that resonate with Americans and, you know, have been part of our political rhetoric, but they certainly aren't there now.
Yeah, those are things that you're not hearing a whole lot in the stump speeches.
No, exactly that. I mean, one of the things I would like to mention is that sacrifice is a hard thing to propose, but it's a sign of a good leader in any field, in business or church or any other place. If a leader can inspire people to sacrifice and to see the big picture, he's a good leader.
And quite often you see that in business where maybe they'll have. I've worked in companies where they say, okay, we're going to do this fundraiser, and you can wear jeans on Friday, but you have to give to this fundraiser. So you're sacrificing something to get something that you want, and some people comply and do that, and some people say, I don't want to take part. But everybody has the opportunity. And again, there's some sacrifice involved. If you want to wear jeans on Friday, then you have to contribute to this fundraiser. And I think that same type of thing, now I understand that's a completely different scenario, but if we were expecting everybody to get something for nothing, where is that going to come from?
Right. I mean, it has to be, the leader has to inspire. He has to be out there in front. He has to be the role model that will show the way.
Again, visiting with John Horvat, and let's talk about your book, Return to Order. First of all, when did this book come out?
It's been out for a while, about 2.5 years, 3 years now, but we've just put out our fourth printing of it, so
nice.
It's really getting out there.
Well, and I know we spoke, and it's been a little while back when we talked one other time about the book. It sounds like an exciting book for people that have not had a chance to hear that other interview. Tell us, what is the book Return to Order about? It's
a book about economy, about a culture, and about moral values. But above all, it's a book that puts all three together, to saying that what we need is to reconnect with our origins, with our fundamentals, and this is what will bring us back to order. You can't stimulate, regulate, or legislate an economy or culture into order. It has to come through those very fundamental institutions of family and faith and community that keep a society and economy in balance.
Where can I find a copy of the book Return to Order, sir?
You can go to returntoorder.org. And there you'll find it.
All right. Very easy. Returntoorder.org. John, thank you so much for taking time to chat with us again today.
It's been great.
And again, John Horvat, he's a scholar, researcher, educator, international speaker, and again, the author of Return to Order. You can find that at returntoorder.org. Thank you so much for listening to The John and Heidi Show.
This portion of the program is brought to you by Keystone Treatment Center. Addiction is no laughing matter. Call Keystone Treatment Center toll-free at 1-844-204-1055.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Quito in Ecuador, South America, is said to have the most pleasant climate in the world. It is called the land of eternal spring. The temperature rarely drops below 46 degrees, and during the night or any time, and then it's hardly ever gets over 72 degrees during the day.
Where is this at?
Quito. It's in Ecuador, South America.
Wow.
They say that is the most comfortable place in the world to live. Hey, fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
The model ape used in the 1933 movie King Kong was, how tall do you suppose that giant monster was?
3 feet.
No, 18 inches. So you were close. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
The high jump method of jumping headfirst and landing on your back is called the Fosbury flop.
Okay.
That's an actual thing. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Powdered tea was once used as a snuff to stop bleeding noses. Never heard of such a thing. And our final fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
According to a Gallup poll, 11% of the U.S. population believes in ghosts and other supernatural entities. 11%. Do you believe in ghosts?
I don't believe. I don't know. I do believe that there are probably some. Yes, I've never seen a ghost,
and I have proof because I used to play Pac-Man all the time. Inky, Blinky, and Clyde. All right, that's a bunch of fun facts for you. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by RadioReallyWorks.com. I know you're listening to a podcast, but did you know the John and Heidi Show is also a radio show? And for those of you who have businesses, you should consider using radio to advertise your business. We can even help you create some catchy little jingles or amazing radio ads that will help pull people in. Get all the details or just learn more at RadioReallyWorks.com. That's RadioReallyWorks.com.
John and Heidi.
Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Thursday. Hey, baby, how are you doing over there?
I'm Fantastic.
Have you ever wondered how long a plastic sandwich bag could hold a sandwich without it getting yucky?
No.
Well, one school
You
in
ask
Germany,
me all the time if I've ever wondered about these things. I don't sit around wondering about these kinds of things.
a school in Germany found out the hard way. Piles of unwanted sandwiches dating back to the 1970s have been found behind a radiator in a school in Germany. Ending years about the confusion of this bad smell in the school. Workers carrying out repairs on the floor of the room found a cavity behind and under the radiator where generations of children have stuffed their unwanted packed lunches. The school's head teacher had already spent thousands of dollars for experts to examine the room to try to figure out why they had this smell. They found nothing. They recommended the teacher air the room out more thoroughly. As it turns out, there were thousands of... was it thousands? How
That
many
is
did they say?
hilarious.
They found...
Oh, what funny kids.
Hundreds of. I don't know. Anyway.
So how long did the sandwiches last? I mean, are they...
From the 1970s. So it's not necessarily... It doesn't say how long they lasted, but they certainly don't last more than the 40 years that they were there. So apparently...
I would have been more impressed if they'd opened them up and the sandwiches were all still good and they
No.
served them at the lunch the next day.
That's what you guys are having for lunch. It doesn't really say. That was kind of a dumb headline then, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Anyway, that happened in Germany. That's where that happened. And it was a bunch of unwanted sandwiches chucked in there from the 1970s until now.
Man.
When I was a kid, I did not like onions. I still don't like onions. I remember one time we were having some sort of food with onions in it, and everybody else kind of walked out of the room, and I was thinking I was going to move it later. I took my bowl of stuff and I hid it, and then I forgot that I hid it. And it was a month later, my mom was cleaning and she found this bowl that I jammed and hid it underneath some stuff. And she's like, "What is that?" And it was the leftovers. It was really gross. I don't encourage you to do that. All right. Coming up, we're going to talk about the color of blue fighting tooth decay. That's on the way.
This portion of the program is brought to you by RVWheeliter.com. If you want to buy or sell an RV, go to RVWheeliter.com. List your RV for free. Learn more at RVWheeliter.com.
Interesting headline. Can the color blue fight tooth decay? The answer is, yeah, I think so. It says the ultimate cure for bad breath is on its way, and it's a blue light. That's the word from Nikos Sokos, who directed the Forsyth Laboratory of Applied Molecular Photomedicine. He's developing a dental light. It's a pen that people can shine in their mouth to zap bad bacteria that causes bad breath.
Really?
The light works by blinding the bacteria, suppressing the bad microbes, and allowing healthier bacteria to flourish. Sokos expects his dental light pen to be on store shelves in just a few years. Right now, toothpaste and mouthwash are the best way to fight bacteria, but Sokos is convinced his blue light will actually be better.
Well, that's fascinating.
So instead of brushing your teeth, you just shine a flashlight.
Well, you
in
still
there?
have to brush your teeth because it's not going to take care of
Everything? Yeah, I don't know.
right.
Well, there you go. Nikos Sokos worked on that and came up with a plan. So shining a blue light in your mouth
That's
apparently
pretty
is the way to
cool.
go.
I love it.
Coming up, we're going to talk about losing weight on a high-fat diet. We'll tell you all about that in a bit.
John and Heidi.
Chicago nutritionist Dr. Jan, I'm not going to say this last name properly. I'll try, though. Konzwiski? I have no idea. They're promoting a high-fat, low-carb diet called the Polish diet. It promises that you can lose weight by eating extremely high-fat foods like kielbasa, bacon, veal brains, buttered Polish bread, and eggs cooked in spicy lard with cups of heavy cream for a beverage. One patient on the Fit Through Fat diet has already dropped from size 14 to a 4. She said, "We think fat is bad when it's really good for you. It provides energy and makes you feel better." But another happy dieter says it's non-short term. She says it's a lifelong lifestyle change. So it's not a thing that you can just do for a short while. You have to commit to this. That sounds like an interesting concept.
Okay, but
So,
I'm sorry.
you don't believe this?
Well, I could see how you could lose weight if the only things on your diet are things like veal brains. I mean, you're not going to eat it. It might be full of fat, but
Would
if you
like
don't
some
eat
more?
it.
I'm good. I had one bite. I am good for a month. Yeah. I don't know. This is happening in Chicago. Dr. Jan Kizwiniski. Again, I apologize. If you're looking for the info, they call it the Polish diet, so that's probably what I would look for. Coming up, 7 ways to save the planet.
John
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by Knowles Systems. If you have funds earning less than 6%, listen to this. Commercial mortgage bridge loans pay 6% to 8%. That might be just what you need. You're placed in first position on loans secured by high-quality commercial real estate like hotels, apartments, and office buildings. Your principal never fluctuates in value. You receive 6% per year paid monthly, and your principal is returned in full at the end of each cycle. You never pay commissions, management fees, or asset charges, and you can make these loans inside or outside of an IRA. I'll give you a toll-free number to call, 888-547-8007. Start earning 6% now. Call 888-547-8007.
John and Heidi.
Thank you so much for listening on this Thursday. You know what's coming up here this month? Earth Day. Earth Day is later in April, and that time of year that we all ask ourselves, at least I do, what can I do to help save my corner of this planet? Here's some things you can do, Heidi. Wash your hands less. Many people wash their hands way more than they need to. It says wash your hands sparingly. So if they're dirty, wash them, but don't wash them just because you feel like washing them. It says also turn off your watch when you're not checking the time. So apparently, like leaving the thing glow, leaving the light on your watch glow, you're using up batteries that you don't need to. So you only check that and then turn it off when you're done. Stop bread waste. Place condiments on both sides of the bread and use one slice. What? How do you do that?
It'd be awfully hard to eat if you've got condiments on both sides of the bread.
I've done where I'll have like a bun. I remember we were almost out of buns, and I had a burger. I had 2 burgers and 1 bun. I didn't put them both on the bun. I just used the top on one and the bottom on the other. And
I've eten burgers where I've just taken off part of the bun so I don't eat as many carbs.
As I was eating that, I was like, why don't we always do this? This is actually, I thought it was better. Next, create your own ecologically friendly products. For example, toothpaste. There's a recipe with mint gum, peanut butter, and mayonnaise.
Ew.
That does not sound good.
No.
I wonder if this is an April Fool's joke or something. Sounds really gross. I'm going to continue to read it. When throwing away books, be sure to break the spines first. Unbroken books can lodge in the throats of bears and cougars.
What?
I don't know that. I don't know. Don't walk, run. Running saves time, propelling you to incredible sales and discounts faster. And the last thing says, wear socks with sandals.
No.
This is from the internet talking about...
Why does it say to wear socks with sandals?
Oh, I don't know if I should read it. It says, socks and sandals combo says to others, I don't care about how I look. I care more about our environment. You'll also save money on expensive habits like having a social life. Spend it all. Spend your extra money on shrubs and flowers instead. Well, thank you for sharing this.
That one's funny.
7 ways to save the planet.
That last one I love. That one is so true.
I really do need to pre-read, don't I? Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Thursday.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by the John and Heidi Show. That sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Go to your local radio station and ask them to start carrying the John and Heidi Show. Here's the best part. They can carry the show for free. They play a couple commercials, but it doesn't cost them anything every month. So if you know a radio station that could use a little bit of help, send them our way. Send them to johnandheidishow.com. Again, johnandheidishow.com. We would love to do a radio program in your community. Then you could listen to the podcast and listen to us on the radio.
John and Heidi.
We always try to wrap things up around here with some good news, and I really, truly think this is some good news. I come from a family that has quite a few people in it. There's 3 boys and 3 girls, so there's 6 of us in our family, and every single one of us happened to be born with blonde hair. Mm-hmm. So I have some info here that says, contrary to the long-running joke, the stereotype of a dumb blonde is just plain dumb. According to MSN.com, researchers dove in to find out what is the deal. Are they really stupid? And they found that women and men with natural blonde hair had IQ scores almost exactly the same as people with other colors.
Yeah.
Women with natural blonde hair actually had slightly higher average IQ scores than those with brown hair or red hair or black hair. Researchers looked at data from nearly 1,000. Let me see that. That doesn't look right. Data from nearly 10,900 white American baby boomers who had IQ tests in 1980. This is when they started this study, and they worked all the way up till now. So they're saying, for those of you who say that you're a dumb blonde, that is just a myth. That is not for real. Now, here's the thing that I will say. Are there some people that are? Yeah, but there are also people that are brunette and people with dark hair and people with no hair that are dumb as well. So there you go. That's just a little myth for you. I thought that was pretty cool. That's good info. And I think I knew that all along. you got that smirk.
I got nothing.
You got something. I'm afraid to know what it is, and I don't want you to say it on the air because I really don't want to have to reply to all those emails. I mean, let me have some time off on this Thursday. All right. I'll throw a link to that if you want to know more at facebook.com/John and Heidi Show. Time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you so much for listening on a Thursday. We appreciate you joining us. We sure hope to be back for a Friday edition of the John and Heidi Show then.
Time now for the bonus break. Only available here on the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
And your bonus break is brought to you by the good folks at Knowles Systems. And if you haven't heard of them, well, you need to listen up because I got to tell you all about this. If you have funds earning less than 6%, maybe you should check into a better system like Knowles Systems. They have commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com. If you've never heard of a commercial mortgage bridge loan, I'm going to tell you what this is. It's a loan paying 6% to 8%, and it could be just what you need. You're placed in the first position on loans secured by high-quality commercial real estate like hotels and apartments and office buildings. Your principal never fluctuates in value. You receive 6% per year paid monthly, and your principal is returned in full at the end of each cycle. You never pay commissions, management fees, or asset charges. You can make these loans inside or outside of an IRA. If you'd like more info on how you can start earning 6% or more right now, call 888-547-8007. I'll give you that number again in a second, but first, you might want to just check out the website if that's easier. commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com. Again, commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com or 888-547-8007.
John and Heidi.
For those of you that listen, you know that this beautiful, hot, sexy woman sitting next to me is my wife. And we appreciate the fact that you guys listen. And I have some really good info for you. 5 ways to sabotage your marriage before it starts. So let's not do these 5 things. So 5 ways to sabotage your marriage before it starts. So if you're not married yet and you want to have an awful marriage, do these things. Live together before you marry. They say that's a bad idea. I agree with that. Next, get into debt. As much debt as you can get. That'll help sabotage things. Marry somebody that has a different religious belief than you, because that's going to put a bunch of strain on things.
Yep.
These are ways to have a bad marriage, you're saying. Refuse to go through premarital counseling. Say, no, I'm not. She can like me the way I am, or not at all. Again, the last one is have a dream of a soulmate, knowing that you guys are going to be exactly perfect for each other. You do those 5 things, and I guarantee you'll sabotage your marriage before it starts. A little bit of advice from whoever gave that to me. So. But I can tell you, there are people that talk about soulmate. I don't know about the whole soulmate thing, but I can tell you, you have a quirky sense of humor. I have a quirky sense of humor. We fit together pretty darn good.
Yeah, I think so.
There are some things that I do that drive you nuts. I know that. There are some things you do that drive me nuts.
What? Like what?
Oh, do we have the time to go through those here on the radio? I guess now this is just the podcast, so on the internet. By the way, for those of you who do listen to this podcast and you hear things on here where we're talking about the radio, because we have one segment that's, it's true because you heard it on the radio. If you're just a podcast listener and you've never heard us on the radio, you might wonder about that. But the reason we do that is, in addition to the podcast, this is on radio stations around the country as well. And if we're not on in your area, maybe you should reach out to the radio station and say, hey, put these guys on.
There you go.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
That'd be awesome.
We're adding stations all the time. We'd love to add one in your neighborhood. But anyway, when the 2 of us got married, there were many people who said that it wouldn't last because I had been married and divorced and you had been married and divorced. And I was literally just divorced shortly before we married. And I remember somebody talked about this was a rebound. Remember that? And you were very upset about that. Mm-hmm. And, that was 16 years ago. Mm-hmm. So how long does a rebound usually last?
Not quite 16 years.
Okay, because it's lasted longer than my first marriage and your first marriage, so I think that we're doing okay. And now, again, is it perfect? Not at all. Is Heidi perfect?
Yes.
No way. But she's perfect for me.
I had the wrong answer.
Yeah, no, you're perfect for me. Hey, depressed patients are more likely to stick with talk therapy if their sessions are conducted over the phone rather than in person. That's interesting. I never thought of that before. In a study, about 79% of people with depression whom had talk therapy sessions over the phone completed a full 18-week therapy compared to only 67% who met with a therapist in person.
You know why?
Why is
Because
that?
it's awkward
I
to be
suppose.
spouting out the sort of things that are in your thoughts when somebody is staring at you. But if you can do it over the phones and you feel somewhat anonymous in the process, I would assume that that's accurate. I
there
agree with that.
like toll-free numbers you can call and do therapy over the phone? They should do
I
that.
don't know.
They should do that. People may be more likely to complete their therapy with over-the-phone sessions because they take less time, they avoid transportation problems, and they're much more affordable, according to the study. So those are the reasons, too. And what Heidi said, nobody's staring
Be
at
more
you.
at ease.
Yeah, so you can wear whatever you want. I'm sitting in my sweatpants right now. Don't judge me. Doctors have always assumed that both human ears were basically the same, but a UCLA study of babies has been changing a lot of assumptions about the way we think that the brain works, because they found that the right ear is better at picking up speeches and sounds, while the left ear is better at processing music. I agree so much with that. I think we've talked about this before.
Yeah, we have.
I have, like, if I'm driving down the road, I talk to people with my right ear. I'll hold my phone to my right ear, and then if I try to switch over to my left ear, I can barely hear what they're saying. I don't understand it, but I hear music just fine from my left ear. So I have earbuds, and I put those in to do the hands-free driving, and I have to have the one in my right ear. I'd like to get smaller earbuds. Have you seen how big those things are? Mm-hmm. It's gigantic. It's like pounding a cork in my ear. It's very sore. I'm like, I'd love to switch over to my left ear, but I can't hear you over there. So, one last thing here for our bonus break. Now, though parents have been teaching their children not to argue with adults for generations, researchers from the University of Virginia show that young teenagers who are taught to argue effectively are more likely to resist peer pressure, to use drugs or alcohol later in adolescence, and it turns out that what goes on in the family is actually a training ground for teens in terms of how to negotiate with other people. So
I like that.
I think that we're teaching our kids right because they
our
argue
kids
with us
know
all
how to
the
argue
time.
like crazy. Our son was in debate. He is awesome at arguing.
All I know is I used to be able to win an argument once in a while in our family, and nowadays, no, I just give up. I'm like, I'm not even going to try. You think you're right? You're probably right. We'll just go with that. The other day, what was a stupid argument
Star
we got
Wars.
in? Oh, yeah, that was so dumb.
You
was
got him
talking
all
about
riled up. You
some
were
guy-
being mean to him.
No, I was not. He
Yes,
was
you were being mean.
Let me say what happened. He was talking about this puzzle that you guys were putting together and some character that was on there 3 times. And he's like, I don't understand what the fascination is with this character. He was only in the movie for like 5 minutes. But one of our son's favorite characters is, what is the guy's name?
Darth Maul.
Who was also only in there for like 5 minutes. So I was like, but don't you like Darth Maul? And wasn't he only in there for like 5 minutes? And I got the smackdown of smackdowns on
Oh
that.
my gosh, he went crazy.
There was like veins popping out on his neck. And I was like, okay, calm down there, big guy.
And then you wouldn't drop it. You kept at it. We had just quit talking about it, and then he'd start in on him all over again.
No, I
and
didn't.
Our poor son is like felt like he needed to defend himself.
Welcome home, son. Welcome home.
Our daughter walks in from work.
It's like, what
These
did I
guys are
miss?
having a screaming argument about Star Wars, and I'm just like, yeah, welcome home.
That's what it's like to be at our house. All right. The bonus break brought to you by Knowles Systems. If you have funds earning less than 6%, maybe you should check into a better system. A commercial mortgage bridge loan earns 6 to 8%, and that could be just what you need. You can get all of those details at commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com.